Most people start an online business believing that success is about finding the perfect opportunity, the perfect course, the perfect niche, the perfect product, the perfect strategy, the perfect algorithm, the perfect mentor, the perfect moment. And because they're searching for perfection, they never build momentum. What I've learned over the years is that success online is rarely about finding something perfect. It's about building something sustainable. And that's why the first £1,000 online is one of the most important milestones you'll ever reach. Not because of the money, because of what it represents. That first £1,000 is proof. Proof that a stranger is willing to trust you. Proof that your knowledge has value. Proof that your message resonates. Proof that business is possible. Proof that freedom is possible. For many people, that first sale changes everything. Before it happens, online business feels like theory. After it happens, it becomes reality. You stop wondering whether it's possible. You start wondering how much further you can go. But this is where the journey becomes dangerous, because most people unknowingly sabotage themselves right after their first success. They assume the next level is simply doing more content, more videos, more social media, more offers, more hours, more hustle, more grinding, more effort. And while effort is essential, effort alone eventually reaches a ceiling. You cannot scale chaos. You cannot build freedom through randomness. You cannot create consistency from inconsistency. At some point, every entrepreneur reaches a crossroads. One path leads to frustration, the other leads to growth. One path says work harder, the other asks think better, and that difference changes everything. The entrepreneurs who build sustainable businesses eventually discover a simple truth. The first £1,000 is emotional. The next £10,000 is strategic. The first phase is about proving you can do it. The second phase is about understanding why it worked. That distinction is critical, because if you don't understand why something worked, you cannot repeat it. And if you cannot repeat it, you cannot scale it. Most struggling entrepreneurs are trapped in a cycle of reaction. Every day begins with uncertainty. What should I post? What should I sell? What should I create? Should I change my niche? Should I try another platform? Should I buy another course? Should I start again? They're constantly reacting, constantly chasing, constantly searching, and that's exhausting, not because they're lazy, because they're operating without a strategic framework. The businesses that grow aren't necessarily run by the smartest people. They're run by people who understand leverage. Leverage is one of the most misunderstood concepts in modern business. Most people think leverage means working less. It doesn't. Leverage means getting more value from the work you're already doing. One piece of content becomes 10. One customer becomes a testimonial. One testimonial becomes trust. Trust becomes conversions. Conversions become revenue. Revenue becomes reinvestment. Reinvestment becomes growth. That's leverage, that's strategy, that's business. And yet most people spend years chasing tactics instead. A tactic is temporary. A strategy is enduring. A tactic might help you get attention. A strategy helps you build authority. A tactic might generate a sale. A strategy builds a business. The online world has become obsessed with hacks. People want shortcuts. They want secrets. They want hidden formulas. They want overnight success. But the uncomfortable truth is that most successful businesses aren't built on secrets. They're built on fundamentals. Clarity, consistency, trust, value, positioning, systems, execution. The problem is fundamentals aren't exciting. Nobody wants to hear that success comes from doing simple things exceptionally well. People would rather hear about a new trick, a new hack, a new loophole, a new algorithm update, but businesses built on trends often disappear with those trends. Businesses built on principles tend to endure. When you look at entrepreneurs who have created real freedom online, you'll notice something. They don't look busy. They look focused. Their content feels intentional. Their message is clear. Their offers make sense. Their systems support growth. Everything feels aligned. That alignment doesn't happen accidentally. It happens through strategy. One of the biggest breakthroughs in my own journey came when I stopped asking, how can I make money online? And started asking, how can I build assets online? Because money is the result. Assets are the cause. Content is an asset. An email list is an asset. A reputation is an asset. A brand is an asset. A community is an asset. A system is an asset. When you focus on building assets, income becomes a byproduct. And that's where many people get stuck. They're obsessed with income, but they're neglecting the things that create income. Imagine trying to build a house while ignoring the foundation. That's what many entrepreneurs do every day. They want results without infrastructure. They want scale without systems. They want freedom without discipline. They want growth without clarity. And eventually everything collapses. Not because they're incapable, because they're trying to build too much on unstable ground. The entrepreneurs who succeed long term think differently. They're patient, they're strategic, they're intentional. They understand that every piece of content either strengthens or weakens their positioning. They understand that trust compounds. They understand that authority compounds. They understand that relationships compound. Most importantly, they understand that consistency compounds. People massively underestimate the power of consistency. They overestimate what they can achieve in 30 days. They underestimate what they can achieve in 3 years. The online business world is filled with people chasing instant gratification, but sustainable success usually rewards delayed gratification. Showing up when nobody is watching, posting when engagement is low, creating when motivation disappears, learning when progress feels slow, building when nobody understands the vision. That's where businesses are truly built, not in moments of excitement, but in moments of discipline. Because discipline creates consistency, consistency creates trust, trust creates influence, influence creates opportunity, opportunity creates growth, and growth creates freedom. Freedom isn't simply financial. Financial freedom is only one layer. Real freedom is choice. The choice to spend time with family, the choice to work on meaningful projects, the choice to travel, the choice to create, the choice to contribute, the choice to live according to your values. That's what most entrepreneurs are truly seeking. The money is simply a vehicle. The destination is freedom, and freedom requires strategy, not luck, not hacks, not shortcuts. Strategy. The first £1,000 proves possibility. The next £10,000 proves capability. The next £100,000 proves sustainability. Each level demands a different version of you, a different mindset, a different skill set, a different perspective. The entrepreneur who earns their first £1,000 cannot think exactly the same way if they want to reach the next level. Growth requires evolution. That's true in business, it's true in leadership, it's true in life. Every new level requires a new level of thinking, and that brings us back to the central lesson. The first £1,000 online is hard because you're fighting uncertainty, you're fighting doubt, you're fighting fear, you're fighting disbelief, you're fighting inexperience. But once you've achieved it, the battle changes. Now you're fighting distraction. Now you're fighting complexity. Now you're fighting inconsistency. Now you're fighting complacency. And the weapon that wins those battles is strategy. Not more effort, better effort. Not more activity, better activity. Not more information, better implementation. Because the entrepreneurs who build extraordinary businesses aren't necessarily doing more, they're often doing less, but they're doing the right things repeatedly, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, until momentum becomes inevitable, until authority becomes undeniable, until growth becomes predictable, until freedom becomes reality. So if you're still chasing your first £1,000 online, keep going. That milestone matters. It matters more than most people realize. And if you've already achieved it, don't make the mistake of staying there. Graduate from hustle to strategy. Graduate from tactics to systems. Graduate from randomness to intentionality. Because the first £1,000 is proof. The next £10,000 is strategy. And strategy is where businesses are built. Strategy is where confidence grows. Strategy is where momentum compounds. Strategy is where freedom begins. That's the difference. And once you understand it, you'll never look at business the same way again.